Shalom Israel, welcome again to Watchmen of the Faith Ministries, and we're going to put the final touches on the blood of Yahushua, the covenant of the threshold. Now we're in the book of Judges, the 19th chapter, and there are actually 30 verses here. And what I'm going to have to do, because there's a whole lot going on here, I'm not going to break down each and every verse, but I might have to read every verse because there's a whole lot of information in here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead again with Judges, the 19th chapter, the first verse. It says, "And it came to pass in those days when there was no king in Israel." There was no guidance, there was no leadership, there was no husband in Israel. Now, again, like I said earlier, now we have to remember now, eventually Yahushua gave both houses, northern and southern kingdom, a bill of divorce. That is very, very important. Now, when there's no king, what's going to happen? The woman is going to follow adultery and commit all of these adulterous acts. So what we have here now, where it says, when there was no king in Israel, then it says, and there was a certain Levite. This Levite is alluding to the Messiah, a priest. The Levites were the priests. Where it got more specific, the sons of Aaron. Now, what I'm saying here now, that this Levite here is alluding to the Messiah, all right, the leader, the high priest. So again, just follow along with me as I paint this picture here. "And there was a certain Levite sojourning on the side of Mount Ephraim, who took to him a concubine out of Bethlehem, Judah." Now, this word concubine here now, when you read the interlinear, okay, Hebrew and Greek English Bible here, that word concubine is also interchangeable with the word wife. So we see here now that there was no king in Israel, all right, because we know that that the Messiah first gave the first bill of divorcement to northern kingdom. Now, this woman now is a wife. Now let's check out now the behavior of this wife, of this Levite, this priest, this king. And the Levites, that whole priesthood thing there, it was all alluding to the one true high priest, which is Yahushua. Now, there was a certain Levite sojourning in the side of Mount Ephraim, who took to him a concubine or a wife out of Bethlehem, Judah. And his concubine played the whore against him. All right, she played the whore. Now, this should begin now to take shape or form on exactly what's happening here. Again, this priest here is alluding to the high priest. Okay, and he took upon him a wife that played the whore. She played a whore now, and we know this is all alluding to both houses, northern and southern kingdom, because both houses played the whore. "And his concubine played the whore against him, and went away from him and to her father's house to Bethlehem, Judah." So what she's now trying to do, she's trying to cover her sins. She now leaves her husband, commits adultery, and runs back to her father's house. All right, so we even see how this even pertains to what might happen in today's times, where if a woman committed adultery, she's now shamed, and what she now does is she runs back either to her mother or her father's house. Now, verse 2 again, "And his concubine played the whore against him." And now this, again, this is also, now you can read this literally. I have no problem with that. But what I'm saying now is that every parable, okay, is or story here is alluding to a bigger picture. And this woman here is representing the nation of Israel, and this priest here is representing the initial high priest, which is the Messiah. "And his concubine played the whore against him, and went away from him into her father's house to Bethlehem, Judah, and was there 4 whole months. And her husband arose and went after her." Yahushua went after the woman that committed adultery in the spiritual sense. And when Yahushua comes after us, he's asking us to acknowledge the fact now that he died for the nation of Israel. So verse 4 is very important, where the husband arose and went after her to speak friendly unto her and to bring her again. So when it says bring her again, we're talking about return. And so when we go to now the book of Jeremiah, let's put all of this together. The book of Jeremiah, and I'm going to the 3rd chapter. The 3rd chapter, and I'm going to read verse 1. They said, if a man put away his wife, and she go from him, and become another man's, shall he return unto her again? Shall not the land be greatly polluted? But YAHUSHUA says now this, but thou hast played the harlot with many lovers, yet return again to me, saith YAHUSHUA. That is very important, because we have now here in the book of Judges, the 19th chapter, verse 3 again, and her husband arose and went after her to speak friendly unto her and to bring her again. Even though she committed adultery, there was still a way being made for the woman to return. And the way that the woman was able to return is if the husband took on the sins of the adulterous woman. Okay? And when the Messiah dies, it's by the blood of YAHUSHUA where the woman is now able to return back into covenant relationship with the Son, YAHUSHUA. And her husband arose and went after her to speak friendly unto her and to bring her again, having his servants with him in a couple of asses. And she brought him unto her father's house. And when the father of the damsel saw her, he rejoiced to meet him. Verse 4. And his father-in-law, the damsel's father, retained him, and he abode with him 3 days. Again, numbers are very, very important. 3 days. So they did eat and drink and lodged there. And it came to pass on the 4th day, when they rose early in the morning, that he rose up to depart. And the damsel's father said unto the son-in-law, comfort thine heart with a morsel of bread, and afterward go your way. And they sat down and did eat and drink, both of them together. For the damsel's father had said unto the man, be content, I pray thee, and tarry all night, and let thy heart be merry. Verse 7. And when the man rose up to depart, his father-in-law urged him. Therefore he lodged there again. Verse 8. And he arose early in the morning on the 5th day to depart. And the damsel's father said, comfort thy heart, I pray thee. And they tarried until afternoon. And they did eat, both of them. Verse 9. And when the man rose up to depart, he and his concubine, or his wife, and his servant, his father-in-law, the damsel's father, said unto him, behold, now the day draweth towards evening. I pray you tarry all night. Behold, the day groweth to an end. Lodge here, let thine heart may be merry, and tomorrow tomorrow get you early on your way, that thou mayest go home, or to thy tent. But the man would not tarry that night, but he rose up and departed and came over against Jebus, which is Jerusalem, as he has in parentheses. And there were with him 2 asses saddled, his concubine also was with him. So the husband takes the concubine with him, and they leave the father's house. And when they were by Jebus, the day was far spent, and the servant said unto his master, come, I pray thee, let us return unto this city of the Jebusites, and lodge in it. And his master said unto him, we will not return aside hither into the city of a stranger that is not of the children of Israel. We will pass over to Gibeah. And he said unto his servant, come and let us draw near to one of these places to lodge all night in Gibeah or Ramah. Now Gibeah and Ramah mean something in But I have to come back to this, okay? Because I just want to finish the covenant of the threshold, and there's a lot going on here. But these names mean something. Verse 14. And they passed on and went their way, and the sun went down upon them when they were by Gibeah, which belongeth to Benjamin, or Benjamin. And they turned aside thither to go in and to lodge in Gibeah. And when he went in, he sat him down in a street of the city, for there was no man that took them into his house to lodging. And behold, there came an old man from his works out of the field at even, which was also on Mount Ephraim, and he sojourned in Gibeah. But the men of the place were Benjamites. And when he had lifted up his eyes, he saw a wayfaring man in the street of the city. And the old man said, Whither goest thou, and whence comest thou? And he said unto him, We are passing from Bethlehem, Judah, toward the side of Mount Ephraim. From thence am I, and I went to Bethlehem, Judah, but I am now going to the house of YAHUSHUA, and there is no man that receiveth me to house. Yet there is both straw and provision for our asses, and there is bread and wine also for me, and for thy handmaid, and for the young man which is with my servants. There is no want of anything. Verse 20. And the old man said, Shalom be with thee. Moreover, let all thy wants lie upon me. And this is a tradition. Like I said earlier, we have a tradition, our own customs, and our own language. So what this happening now is that when a man comes into your house, it would be proper etiquette now to take upon yourself the responsibility of the person that you're bringing into your house. He's now part of the household. Verse 20. So he brought him into his house and gave ponder unto the asses, and they washed their feet and did eat and drink. Now as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, certain sons Bilal. And when you look up the word Bilal in the Strong Concordance, it means worthlessness. So the sons of worthlessness, okay, beset the house round about, and beat at the door, and spake to the master of the house, the old man, saying, Bring forth the man that came into thine house, that we may know him. So we know this is talking about they wanted to perform some type of homosexual act with the man that was now in the master's house. And now the man, the master of the house, went out into them and said unto them, No, my brethren, no, I pray, you do not so wickedly, seeing that this man is come into my house, because this man now is in covenant relationship with the master. Do not this folly. Behold, here is my daughter, a maiden, and his concubine. Them will I bring out now, and humble ye them, and do with them what seemeth good unto you. But unto this man do not so a vile thing. Now, I know this looks crazy, okay, but there's a meaning behind what's going on here. But the men would not hearken unto him, so the men took his concubine and brought her forth unto them, and they knew her and abused her all the night until the morning. And when the day began to spring, they let her go. Now, we have to remember now, this woman had already committed adultery. So now we given this woman her heart's desire. The same thing that happened with the nation of Israel. The nation of Israel played the harlot. And so now we have YAHUSHUA, or the Father, saying, listen, you know what? You want to be a whore? Okay, then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to scatter you amongst your enemies, and your enemies is going to abuse you all day long. This is what this is talking about. Okay, on the spiritual or the deeper meaning of this. I'm going to read it again. Verse 24. Israel, I'm running out of time here, and I'm going to continue this up into the 30th verse. And with that, I'm going to have to say shalom.